Hi, my name is Justin Dustlover. This is my final journal for my first practicum rotation of food service. I was lucky enough to do two different rotations. One of them was in my hometown in Gaylord at Munson Memorial Hospital. It was really great for a first rotation. It was nice that I wasn't super far away from home and I was able to kind of be comfortable where I was. And my second rotation was at Michigan Technological University up in Houghton, Michigan. That rotation was a little bit more difficult for me. I was going through some personal things emotionally, and I wasn't really in a good headspace, but I was able to get through it, and I still learned a lot thanks to my wonderful preceptors at both different rotations. Overall, I think that my favorite experience at both rotations, my first one at Otsego Memorial, I was able to talk one-on-one with patients, and I was able to kind of determine exactly what kind of food they needed and what worked for them, what kind of utensils worked for them, such as there's a cup that has like a hole in it necessarily where you can tip it back and you can keep going back so that it doesn't hit your nose and it doesn't get in the way. It's much easier to drink thicker liquids that have been thickened. Very nice for patients like that, and it's cool to be able to help out patients like that, and I think that starts within the food service realm and understanding exactly what they need and preparing food as such. Michigan Tech, the big thing there was working with a project called C3 and designing my own meal, budgeting it out, working with staff members to make sure that it would be a success and that we would break even. Unfortunately, in the past, C3 has kind of dwindled down, and they have been privately analyzing the cost benefit of C3, as a lot of the time they have not been breaking even. That was the case with my meal, but my meal was also the week before Thanksgiving, and not a lot of people are really staying on campus for that long, so I didn't take it too personally, but it was something that I wish would have worked out better. Growth over time, something that I wasn't comfortable with at all in my first rotation, was talking to patients one-on-one and getting their advice, getting their tips on exactly what they could do better. And I was definitely able to grow as I was doing patient rounding nearly every day, every week at least, and talking to patients one-on-one, seeing exactly what we could do better, what didn't work for them, if we could accommodate anything specially for them. And that was really helpful for me to grow and develop as a professional, because I have to be comfortable with these patients so that I can help them out. At Michigan Tech, a lot of my work was done like behind the scenes, and it was more so like office work. I don't want to say it was not in the field, but I was definitely doing a lot of sitting behind a computer, running numbers, designing presentations, and things like that. And I definitely think that it was important for me to do that and try that kind of work style, because now I know that I really don't want to sit behind a computer all the time. And I like being in the field more, working with the patients one-on-one, rather than being sedentary and just focusing on my computer work and stuff like that. Something really unique that I thought was cool was my preceptor at Munson OMH. She was able to work directly with me on almost everything that I wanted to do, and even when something just came up on the fly, I was able to pounce on it and get a hold of it, and I could even talk to but other staff members about things that they were going through with their nutrition journey and their athletics. It wasn't necessarily super food service related, but it was something that I really want to do in the future, and I thought that was super beneficial, and I loved doing that. Michigan Tech, I didn't really have a lot of unique experiences. It was a lot of stuff that I've already done before, except for kind of doing just things on my own. My preceptor was very, all right, you can do this on your own, and you can do this without needing my help and stuff like that. And if I needed to come to him for questions, then I obviously could, but it wasn't like my hand was being held the entire time. While at Munson OMH, it was not necessarily held for longer, but I got a little bit more assistance and help. And I do think that both sides of the spectrum are helpful, and both are pretty unique. But I appreciated being helped a little bit more in my first rotation, and even though it was just like my second rotation, even though it was like back to back, I kind of struggled with that. And being in the headspace that I was in, it wasn't really the best thing for me. Like I kind of needed some help and just moving along and getting through that. So overall, I think that my food service rotations went pretty well. I loved going to OMH. In fact, they offered me a job, like just to kind of work in their kitchen, like during breaks in between semesters and when I have spare time. So that was really cool. And my preceptor up at Michigan Tech was really helpful, both like giving me professional advice and giving me career advice. So I think that both went really well, and I'm already looking forward to the next rotation. And I'm going to be over in Traverse City on Front Street for a place called Groundworks, and I'm very, very excited to work for them. They sound like an awesome company that I'm going to get along with, and their philosophy sounds exactly like something that I want to do. So